Nudging is the concept that small changes to an environment can have big influences on people's behavior. Popular example is the notion of cafeterias and where to place food. For example, if healthier food is placed near the front of the cafeteria line versus unhealthier food like French fries are placed near the back, it turns out that students will end up selecting more healthy food than if the reverse arrangement were applied. This notion of influencing people's behavior through the placement of food and its position is known as using choice architecture. We are architecting sort of how the choices can be made by people. The notion of choice architecture and nudging is one concept of nudging. And this concept applies to environments not only physical like the cafeteria example, but also other environments like web environments or mobile app experience environments, or environments where people have to fill out forms on paper. Behavioral architecture is premised on the notion that the environment affects and influences people's behaviors. So the idea is to take a more holistic and broader look at behavioral architecture beyond choice architecture. The three dimensions that are more mechanical dimensions that I generally offer as a first point is the notion of looking at choice architecture, information, and process architecture, these three dimensions. So if we go back to the example of the cafeteria, we have the notion of choice architecture. Do I place food near the front or place it near the back? That's one notion of choice architecture. Another possibility of choice architecture is if let's say we offered you food, we offered you by default the fruit unless you ask for a snack, if you will. That's another way of, there's many different dimensions of playing with choice architecture, but this is one dimension. The second dimension is to look at information architecture, which is how data, figures, maybe words, things are framed. So for example, if we go back to the notion of food, the idea of presenting calorie information to people, that is an idea of using information architecture. You can imagine, instead of presenting French fries as being so many calories, you could also present it in such a way that in order to burn off the calories that you get by consuming French fries, it's going to take you this much exercise to kind of work off the French fries. So that would be another way of sort of presenting information. The third dimension is the process architecture, which is involved in both process, sometimes may involve thinking tools. If we're to go back to the example of food again, there are some researchers that are looking at interventions like having people think. So the idea may be to engage more system 2 and reflective thinking. So the example of the researchers are where they might ask people to kind of think and perhaps even write in a diary about what their goals are and how staying on track with their eating might help them achieve their goals. This is a thinking exercise. This is a notion of a process that we put people through as they go about and make choices. So these are the three areas: choice, information, and process architecture, that I offer kind of as baselines for thinking about behavioral architecture.